Hello everyone, welcome along to the second weekend of the Japan Cup for 2025. We are about to get qualifying underway on a historic weekend here in Fuji with a mammoth Japan Cup grid, a track temperature of 30 degrees, air temperature 21. It's very, very cloudy. So we've already had GT World Challenge qualifying just a few moments ago, and we continue with our GT3 action. A lovely mixed up field of GT3 Pro-Am and Am competitors. We've got a larger than ever GTC entry with 6 cars entered, and 4 GT4 cars for this weekend. 2 in Am and 2 in Silver Am. But a grid that is really expanding every time we have a Japan Cup weekend. Ukyo Sasahara and Shinji Takai come here as the championship leaders after a victory in a second position at Sugo, the first round a couple of weekends ago. Racing for Bingo Racing with LM Corsa, so forget Corvette and think Ferrari. And actually the Ferrari is the chosen car in Japan Cup this year, with 6 on our entry, but we've got 4 Nissans. Cool. 4 Nissan GTR Nismos. Run-up sport with the usual one that we're used to seeing. But Gala Racing bring a white Nismo GT3. We've got an orange one from Daishin with G-Net that we've already seen before. We've got Riichiro Oyagi driving that car on his own, and then Art Taste by JMS Racing entering another white with yellow stripes. Other unusual cars in the field, the Lexus. We love the Lexus from K-Tunes. Yeah, I do like it in white. And the second of our female racers, Gala. Little pink stripes on that car. She shares that with Natsu Sakaguchi. I say the second of our females because we do have Betty Chen in the K-Tunes Toyota Supra in GT4 Am. So last time at Sugo, Bingo Racing took victory in race 1. The second race was won by the Max Racing Mercedes of Motojima and Uchida, but they only got 5th in race 1. And we had a retirement from the Ponos Racing of Kei Cozzolino and Sujiko. And so expect them to do have a stronger performance. Here, Ponos, based just literally around the corner from the Fuji racetrack, so the team not far from home always makes a difference. Other teams to look out for: Maezawa Racing, the 555 of Mr. Maezawa himself, Mr. MZ, who always a big character in the Japan Cup, and great to have himself and Naoki Yokomiso in that team. He's also brought 7 of his own collection of supercars to the paddock, and already a slightly flappy bonnet for the 888 of Tiger Wu. Just have a look at that livery. That's a 992 Porsche Cup car. So in GTC, you've got 992s, which is the latest generation of GT Cup car. You'll find this car, for instance, racing in Porsche Carrera Cup Asia. We've also got 2 or 3, depending on if they've got out on circuit or not, 991s, which is the previous iteration. Not a massive difference between the two, but you can tell the difference when if we get a chance to see a 991. Especially biggest giveaway is the air intakes on the bumper straight away. So the car we didn't see racing yesterday in GTC was a 94 of Karat Racing. And I can tell you that they are out on circuit, so that's good news. All cars accounted for. Quick look at the Ponos Racing Ferrari. And if you are new to this type of racing, we go qualifying 1 sets the grid for race 1, and we have our amateur drivers in qualifying 1. So if you're our Pro-Am lineup, then the AMs are driving in this session, and then the pros will take the wheel in the second session, set the grid for race 2, and they will start that second race as well. So the qualifier starts the race. We have no silver lineups in Japan Cup, so all drivers on track are AMs, which is kind of cool. Get a chance to see AM versus AM on board with the 45 Ferrari of Ponos Racing. So, okay, Cosolino, the Italian-Japanese driver, the pro in that car. Yorikatsu Sujiko on board with him right now. Get a chance to see this Fuji circuit. Very, very unique characteristics, or different characteristics, in the 3 sectors of the lap, and this enormously long start finishing straight. We've got a spinner setting the yellow flags ablaze. Hopefully Suenagaya can get that car back running again, but Tsujiku comes over the line. I thought that was going to be the best lap of the session, but it's been usurped by Yamawaki in the 98, who goes provisionally fastest. The 42.1 is still a fair way away from what is possible, but as we saw in our GT World Challenge qualifying session, it does take a couple of laps to get going inside the Maezawa garage. All cars with garages today. We are expecting a mammoth pit walk. Plus 50 cars wheeled out onto the apron. There's another of our Nissans. I think that is, yeah, one of 3 cars, and the only car in GT3 to be a single driver. Oyagi shared that car with his father, did he not? Maybe not. Maybe not. We have seen Team Daishan in that car before, either last year or even before that, when Japan Cup was a part of GT World Challenge Asia. Yamawaki comes towards the line, and I'm sure he's going to usurp Oyagi. Tsujiku does, and that's a much better lap time of 40.6 from Tsujiku. Don't forget, the GT World Challenge Asia time of 38.5 in qualifying was set by a silver driver, so we should be able to get into the 39s, I would have said. We're not quite there yet. Yamawaki second position in the K-Tunes Ferrari that really didn't have a very happy time of things in Sugo. A 7th and a 5th, missing out on the podiums in a car that was absolutely dominating Japan Cup last year. So just shows how the competition has really increased. Mr. Maezawa with a purple sector to his name in the first sector of the lap. Now goes green. That's because somebody else has gone faster than him behind, but he's coming up towards the second sector now, and he goes faster than he's been before. But Suzuki in the 296 for Ponos Racing has the best first sector of the lap, and that is why Maezawa did not get a purple in the middle sector. Oyagi was fast on his first attempt. He's now picking up a bit of a slipstream as well from the AWD Racing Porsche, and he'll be happy with that to come towards the line. Is this going to be an improvement from 5th position from Oyagi. He was obviously held up. The problem is, in that final sector, you have a lot of fiddly corners. And if you find yourself in traffic, very, very hard to do anything. First attempt for the 24 of Max Racing, up onto pole position with a 40.3. But time's coming from all over the place right now. There's a look at one of the older GTC 991 cars. It just looks older, doesn't it? Don't even really need to see the detail. GTC pole at the moment is for the 83, so that white car going through shot. And there is the 296 of Suzuki. First look at Max Racing with a little bear logo, but again getting caught out by GT4 cars. Don't forget we've got GT4 cars out on circuit as well, and if that happens, that kills your lap completely. So no chance of a improvement, and we've got a red flag as well, so we've got a car off, and I think it might be the Team Machina car somewhere around the middle part of the lap. The number 1 has gone missing. There it is. No impact with a barrier, and actually a long way off the circuit as well, so Uematsu's done a really good job of putting that car in a safe position, but to recover it correctly, we do need a course car on the circuit, and therefore we need to go red flag. Great thing about Fuji, built of course, or renovated for Formula One to come here, and the Japanese Grand Prix held here for a few years. Thanks to Toyota's ownership of the circuit and the presence of Toyota in Formula One. There's mammoth runoff areas in true sort of Bernie Ecclestone F1 spec. So really, if you do have any kind of spin, you're unlucky if you hit a barrier or anything solid, and it does allow you to pull the car off circuit, like we've just seen from Team Machina, who, by the way, are raining a Ferrari this year rather than a McLaren that they were in last year. Quick look at the ever fastest GT4. Haridama Manopo in the Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia car. Shame we don't have 2 of those. We've seen them running 2 in the past when it was part of GT World Challenge Asia, and there was a GT4 category. But at least they've got some people to play with this weekend. A closer look then at the Bingo Racing livery for Tiger Wu. I mean, there's nothing much more to say than just marvel at it, really. There is a story behind that. There is a story behind that livery, which I read 4 weeks ago, and unfortunately my brain is full of other bits of useless knowledge. I need to remind myself. But Tiger Wu, a very big character, and being reflected in his livery. Obviously, the 7-7 Racing team is number 666, just to make things really complicated. And is it 7-7? Is it 7 times 7? Is it 7 by 7? I think as a hotel chain, it is 7 by 7. And they've already managed to remove the number 1 car into a safe position. So we are going to be able to get the session back underway. And with 4.5 minutes remaining, just under 5 minutes remaining, I think the guys should have enough time to get the cars back up to temperature, tyres back into the window where they need it, and the opportunity to get fast laps back in. There is Naoki Yokomiso, driver coach to Mr. Maezawa. Saku Maezawa sent himself up to space. Mr. Spaceman himself. When you can, why not? Probably was his attitude. Certainly the bespoke coloured Aston Martin Valkyrie that you may see on track over the weekend. It's in the paddock looking absolutely splendid. But you get the feeling that that's kind of a why not, if I can kind of car. Completely useless on any kind of a road outside of a racetrack, I would say. But it's a Valkyrie. It's also got a Koenigsegg in the paddock, 2 Bugattis. There's the Mercedes AMG 1. It's just incredible. Incredible collection for one man. And it's only part of the collection, of course. So, back to green flag then. We are getting our session back underway. There's the Karat Racing Porsche just in the slow lane, just being sort of bullied out of the fast lane. And we're going to go flat out once more. Hope that we can get enough temperature into tyres to improve. So Uchida with a 40.395. That's the fastest lap time right now. Suzuki second, but less than a tenth back from him. So really, really nice and tight between those two. Third position, the 296 Ferrari of Suzuki, sorry. Suzuki in second, Suzuki in third. 4.5 tenths back though. Maezawa fourth position. Yamawaki in fifth. Oyagi, sole driver in that Nissan, in sixth position. And then Uematsu was seventh before that car ground to a halt. Akita with a great result. Well, actually, in the end, not a great result in Sugo, but great showings of performance in the number 18 Ferrari. They sit in 8th position right now. Banksy 9th, who's got a new teammate this weekend in the 666 car. Hiro in 10th position, 2.7 seconds back, so lots of improvements. One of our 4 Nismos, second fastest Nismo in the Nismo category, if there is one. Imada, run by Art Taste with JMS Racing. Nobuhiro Imada sharing that car with Shimizu. And that's an AM entry, so they kind of the opportunity to do either or. Oh no! Maezawa in the gravel. Luckily getting out of the gravel. And hopefully not collecting too much gravel in the car. Looks like he's okay. I mean, it is an outlap, isn't it? So it's not the end of the world. But it's these little errors that Maezawa needs to iron out. The GTC Pro-Am pole of Haga, he stayed in the pits. So Makoto Haga not expecting to need to improve. And so Gamma 83 thinking that they have pole position sorted. Imada with a better lap time. Takai also improving. Akita up to third position, so we're already getting laps in. It wasn't better first sectors of the lap, but they found speed and found performance in the second half of the lap. We've got 1 minute remaining, so it's now, this next lap really counts. And we've already got a purple sector coming in for Imada. Traffic's not going to help the 45 and the 296 squabbling on the same part of the circuit. That is not useful at all. But here's Imada in the Nissan, 2.5 tenths up in the first sector. The first sector using that grunt, as does the second sector, but it's the fiddly final sector where the Nissan is going to lose time. A green second sector, that means his personal best, but not as good as the person who has the best purple sector at the moment, of which I do not know. Also got number 15 not out on circuit, Azuma in the GT4 car. But right, round the final turn, Imada in the 84. Are we going to get a pole position for a Nissan? Art Taste with JMS Racing. We've got lots and lots of people improving, but nobody better than this white Nissan. To the line, 6th position only. Look how much he loses in the final sector. A massive chunk of time. But now watch the tower on the left-hand side, because it's going to start getting excited. Akita up to 3rd position in the number 18 machine. Still times to come. Is that an improvement from Suzuki in the 296? Yes, it was in the final sector of the lap, and he gets himself onto provisional pole. 2 tenths of a second better than Uchida, who bailed out of his lap and went into pit lane. It's Cornez Racing Ferrari on the pole position, and it doesn't look like anybody else is going to improve here. And all done in the final sector. We were following the Nissan because we thought from the early part of the lap he looked really good, and Suzuki was kind of okay, but not that kind of performance. 2 third positions in Sugo and a pole position here in Fuji. That is it then. No more opportunities for improvements. Checkered flag picked up by everybody out on circuit. Tiger Wu ending up on the pole position in 992. Sorry, not in 992, in GTC. We've got car 84 under investigation for passing under a red flag. So that's Imada. Just as well he didn't get the pole position then. He dropped down to 8th spot. He was really bumped back in the end. Got 7 Pro-Am cars ahead of him, but he is on the pole for the Am category, which kind of means something, but this whole session did have Ams in it, so it could have really been mixed up in any shape or form. It's the next session where we expect the Pro-Am cars to be at the top and then the Ams below. So Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari, Ferrari. Getting ready, Kawabata. Shintaro Kawabata. He'll be jumping into that car in a few seconds' time. And we will be jumping on Suzuki to find out how it went. Akihiro Suzuki, the pole man for race 1 here in Fuji, on a last gasp attempt. Well done then to Suzuki. Big smiles underneath that helmet, there is no doubt. And the applause from the garage. What's he handing over to his mechanic there? There's obviously something that has either fallen out or fallen off or was in the seat, or the mechanic thought it funny. These things happen, you know. A spanner gets left in the car and then all of a sudden you hear it rattling around. You're like, oh, hang on a second, what am I going to do with that? And then the best thing to do is just to stuff it under your bum. It's nice and safe there. And then you can hand it to your mechanic. It is something that's happened to me in the past. Pressure in that session, because with the red flag in the middle of the session, there's sort of the plan to get your car up to temperature and pressure all a bit mixed up. Results then of qualifying 1. Art Taste with JMS on the pole position for GT Am, down in 8th position. The pole position overall for the GT3 Pro-Am car of 296. GT4 Silver Am to Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia, and GT4 Am to Destino with Sunrise Boulevard. And then we have the GT3 Pro-Am category, which is AWD Racing, the Australian Jake Parsons. And this is how they all slot in then. As I say, 6 Pro-Am cars, 7 Pro-Am cars, and then the best Am in 8th spot. Let's go down to Suzuki with Emily.
見事、ジャパンカップのこの富士戦で Q1 ポールポジション獲得されました鈴木選手、最後のラップ素晴らしかったです。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。赤旗が出てね、ちょっといいラップ出てたんですけど、ちょっとそこで赤旗出ちゃったんで、最後プッシュすれば、取れると思ってましたんで良かったです。
もう最後のラップのどのあたりからこれはもういけるというふうに感じられてましたか？
いや、場所取りさえうまくできればということをちょっと心がけてましたんで、その出てった後からの場所取りを心がけてました。はい。
そして今日はですね、もう早速この後レースも行われるんですけれども、決勝に向けた意気込みのほども改めてお聞かせいただけますか？
前回が3位だったんで、今回は、表彰台の一番上を目指して川端君と頑張りますので、皆さん応援よろしくお願いします。
応援しております。ありがとうございます。So I'll just translate that in English now. Obviously, yes, the final lap of his attack lap was an amazing, astonishing lap. Him himself, he was very confident.
Oh, that's a shame. Astonishing. I like the word astonishing there. I wonder if that was Emily's saying it was astonishing, or the driver saying, yes, it was astonishing to me. I was astonished at myself. It was a very, very good lap. Now we expect those times to be beaten once again. I can see that the #1 Team Machina car is being delivered to the back of the garage thanks to our tracking, which is kind of fun. I don't expect to see that car out though, which is a real shame for Team Machina, because they were such smiley characters, weren't they, in Sugo, Uematsu and Suzuki, having real fun, which is what it's all about, you know. You're here to go racing, you're here to have fun. A lot of these drivers, or these gentlemen drivers, will have businesses that they run and work in during the week. This is their hobby. Some play football, others go motor racing. And so it is about having fun. Now, time starts. I think the green flag is flying. Looks like we might have got another car stuck at the end of pit lane, though. We've already seen that in GT World Challenge. And now it's got going, but it was the 935 of Gala Racing that was just taking its time to fire up. Be a good boy. Most cars out on circuit, just a few still to head out there, but as we've already heard, the track is very, very abrasive, and therefore you don't necessarily want to go straight out onto circuit because you're losing the performance of the tyre before the end of the session. On board with the Miyazawa Racing. That's how to do it. That is Naoki Yokomizo, one of the stars of the Japan Cup field, one of the standout drivers on the entry, with many, many years in the Super GT Championship. absolutely hoping for a good result from Maezawa after disappointment in Sugo, sorry. Actually a Super GT champion back in 2012. And won the Asian Le Mans Series back in 2013. So it doesn't look that old, but Yoko Miso has been doing it a long time. Born in 1980. So making him 45 years old. Doesn't he age well? Haven't seen him in Super GT the last 2 years. Oh, that's why. Okay, so he was the GT 300 champion in 2012 in Super GT, rather than, so that's the GT3 category rather than the main category. Now, Oyagi should be up to well, himself, he should be up to experience already in the number 81 car, because he's obviously doing both qualifying sessions having no partner. So should be getting that 81 Nissan up to the top of the timing screens pretty quickly, I would imagine. Other drivers doing the same thing. Tiger Wu in the 88, in the 888, sorry, Bingo Racing Porsche, who was on pole position in the first qualifying session, and then NGR's Hiro, also a single driver entry in the number 16992, which is a black car. So those guys should be able to get up to speed pretty quick. We saw some laps from Oyagi that were good enough for pole positions, but of course he is an AM driver, and therefore going up against the pros could be quite difficult to get himself on that timing screen. But they will take a little bit of time to get up to speed, and so maybe on this first attempt Oyagi can get himself up into provisional pole, but it probably won't stay there. Kei Cozzolino then, watching the number 45. Italian passported, Japanese-born professional Ferrari driver. Also the professional instructor for Ferrari Challenge Japan, which is here this weekend. So Kei with a really, really busy time of things. Works driver for AF Corsa. Now there's a fun on-board camera. Why is it moving around so much? That's really cool. Almost you get a sense of the G-forces going on in the car. And certainly you get a sense of the way the car is moving around under Kei. That's really cool. Out of the final turn then, towards the line. This is going to be an improvement, and this should be our first proper lap then. Look how long this straight is. There is the flag line. So that's the finishing line. This is the start line here, and that lap time was a 38.779. Tiger Wu in the 888s. At the moment, not on pole position in GTC, but this should be an improvement for him, and does put him back to the top of GTC standings. Oyagi ended up second position in the Nissan. Motojima in the Max Racing Mercedes in third. There is Oyagi. Going again, but his first sector's slower than Cozzolino, as you would expect. He's definitely in the dizzy heights for an AM driver there, in second position right now. Motojima, Kobayashi, Kawabata. Then a new name to our entry list for this year, Watterale in the 666. He's the new partner to Banksy, who shared that 7.7 car with Fujinami in Sugo. Cozzolino is going to get another lap time here. It's going to move that target even further away from everybody else. He's 1.5 seconds faster than Oagi. He's 3.3 seconds faster than Motojimo at the moment, and now he's just taken another 0.3 out of them all. So 2 seconds between first and second. For instance, where are the K-Tunes Racing Ferrari? Takagi was here last year, equal to the best of the GT3 drivers in GT World Challenge. And for the moment, only 10th position. Now the improvements start coming in. The 84 Shimizu up to 4th position. Here's the 98 Ferrari I was just talking about. And we got another red flag. Oh no, that's a disaster for Takagi. We've still got half a session remaining. And the reason for the red flag is a stationary, I was about to say stationary number 15. Yes, it is. Which is a GT4 car. That's the pole position in GT4 AM. And it's only just come out onto circuit. The Porsche Cayman. Looks like it may be in the wall at the chicane at the start of Sector 3. There, at the back of shot. There's the driver, in fact. Already walking away. It was Nagasawa, I think, aboard that car. He'd just come out of the pits, has he not? Yes, he had. So I think that's another car failure rather than an accident. There's the tyre marks in the grass, and yeah, he's parked that one up. Not the best parking spot. That's the GT4 car of choice if you were to go racing. Well, if I was to go racing. So this should be another easy recovery, shouldn't it? Because, again, no contact with anything solid. Wheels all pointing in the right direction. So it's just a case of giving it a little tug and getting it out of the way. But still very few laps on the board. Very few proper laps on the board from anybody. Cozzolino may not go again, you know. A 38.350. We didn't see much better in GT World Challenge Asia. I think the pole position, memory serves, was a 38.1 from Ben Green. And so, number one, Cozzolino would be on row 1 or 2 of the GT World Challenge grid. Cool. We saw that from Takagi last year, didn't we? He was very, very competitive against the... and we can compare them completely because they're running on the same tyres, they're running to the same regulations. There is really no difference between GT World Challenge Asia and Japan Cup in terms of the spec of the car. So you can say Cozzolino could be on row 2 of the GT World Challenge Asia grid. And I suppose that's not really unexpected. You know, yes, Japan Cup is a national championship, but there are some international drivers, as you would find in any national championship. Whether we look at British GT, for instance, in the SRO family. Okay, Asia and Europe, that's another step up, but in Australia or America, you still have those world-class performing drivers, even in a club championship, let's say. And Cozzolino, you know, with huge results, he actually took the Pro-Am Championship in GT World Challenge back in 2022. Okay, that year it was predominantly Japanese drivers, because of the COVID situation. But back in his early days, he was 4th in the Japanese Formula 3 Championship. He's done Le Mans 3 times. But yeah, hasn't had the sort of the starring performances nationally in Japan. in a way that, for instance, Yokomizo has. But he's certainly a strong pedaler. Fast lane open, 7 minutes of the session remaining on the clock, so we've still got about half the session to go. And there's many drivers out there that need it. Can we see the 45? Is that trundling down pit lane? Do you know what? I think they all are. I think they all are going to head back out. There's the 66 leaving pits. That is Car Guy's blue car guy rather than the sort of fluorescent yellow car guy that we come to expect. Toyoda and Ota in that car right now. Katsuki Ota. And now cars back out onto circuit. Max Racing leading the queue. Yuya Motojima in that car right now. Victory in Sugo Race 2. Just a reminder that the Japan Cup is a 4-weekend championship. Sugo was its first weekend a couple of weekends ago. Then we are supporting GT World Challenge Asia as part of the Power Tour here in Fuji and Okayama. And then they will be the support race to the Suzuka 1,000 kilometers, which of course is at Suzuka, in the middle of September. That's their 4 rounds for this year. Still awaiting their full 2026 calendar. 2 rounds in Japan for GT World Challenge Asia were announced at Fuji and Okayama, so you kind of expect that it won't look dissimilar to the calendar that was released for this year, although both Fuji and Okayama dates not completely secure yet. Suzuka has a date secured, and maybe again Japan Cup support race in the middle of September next year. But yeah, no other evidence of what the 4th round will be, and maybe even more rounds. Nice and slow out of the pits for the Lexus. Run by K-Tunes. This is Fukuzumi aboard that car. Just getting himself some nice space around him. He's actually in a really, really good hole there, because this isn't ideal for getting fast lap times. A big, long queue of cars. This is the queue of cars that all came out of the pits together. But you've got different categories in there. There's a couple of GTC cars in there. And they'll all be tripping over each other, which is not ideal. And right in the middle of it is Yokomizo. There's Banksy. And the 7-7 Racing team, watching his new teammate out on circuit, who at the moment has set the 2nd best time. 0.7 of a second back from Kei Cozzolino. We might start seeing improvements already, actually. The Max Racing number 24 with 2 green sectors. Such is the mammoth difference here right now. We've got 18 seconds between 1st and 23rd. And people jump sort of all over each other. And look, here's the 6 car trying to get past this 5 car. But Yokomizo at the same time is trying to create space between himself and the Ferrari ahead. But Wattarari wants to get going. I mean, it's not a bad place to be, sitting behind Yokomizo and a Ferrari. And in fact, look how in those last couple of corners, the Ferrari's cleared off into the distance. Sasahara in the final sector of the lap, good enough to get himself onto provisional pole. Where did that one come from the number 9? Championship leaders, Bingo Racing, barely seen them on circuit. There they are, a purple sector in the final sector of the lap. He was not even better in the first sector of the lap. But the car coming to him all the way through that lap, and Sasahara now on the pole, and now goes purple in sector 1. Now he's got loads of clear track ahead of him. Second car in that queue that's all sort of spaced itself out now. The Max Racing Mercedes up the road. Motojima improved up to 4th position. Takashi Kobayashi moved up into 5th position. Sakaguchi in the Nissan 935 up to 6th spot. And I think that lap time is actually about to be deleted for Sakaguchi. As we watch Sasahara, not as good through sector 2, but better through sector 1. So at the moment equal to what he managed previously. Yokomizu is on a better lap, but he's still giving away lots of time in the middle sector. I think he's still got traffic, to be honest. And Sasahara's time might start bleeding away through the final sector of the lap here, because that peak has already been passed. An improvement from Fukuzumi in the Lexus up to 5th position. Here comes Yokomizu. Has he found anything in the last sector of the lap? Surely it's going to be an improvement from 17th position, but is it going to get himself into a competitive position on the grid? 5th spot, it's okay. It's okay. But he can go again. He's got another second to find. And Cozzolino's in the pits. So the 45 car that had pole position all the way through until the red flag was flown has bailed out. He can't go faster. He hasn't got the tyre. And he's that kind of experienced driver that knows it too. Not on pole position in GT4, the 39. Maybe an improvement from him. Kawabata in the 296 Ferrari up to 3rd position. Here's the 96 Lexus. The aging Lexus GT3 car still somehow finding performance in both the World Endurance Championship and out here in GT World Challenge Asia. So green sectors for Fukuzumi. What about the final sector? Because that's the really important one. Through the last corner. Is he heading towards pit lane? It sort of looked like he was, but maybe not. Kawabata on another lap, but I think it'll go away from him, having got that lap time last time by. Fukuzumi from 7th position moves up into 5th, so that was good. 2 more positions improved, 1 more row ahead. There's no improvement from Sasahara at the front of the field. Cozzolino in the pits. The flag is now out. The session is now over. I think Kawabata's missed out on improving as well, so he's going to have to settle for row 2 as Motojima goes over the line and into the pit lane. And flags now flying and being picked up by the majority of the field without much improvement. Just a small improvement from the number 18 of Kobayashi. Goes up to 9th spot. But into the pits comes the 296. What about Takagi? Dominator last year. 98 K-Tunes is only 7th spot as the GT4 Toyota comes to pit lane. That, I think, is that, really. It's amazing how the tyre gives up here in Fuji. Clearly, and very obviously, throughout the lap. But it is Ukyo Sasahara, whose mother was a fan of Ukyo Katayama and called him Ukyo after the famous F1 star. And now mountaineer, isn't he? Katayama, as the 94 grinds to a halt. Well, it's done more laps than it did in practice anyway, the 94. Bingo Racing back where they finished in Sugo. A win and a second, ominous for the field. And now Sasahara gets himself a pole by 0.039, so really not a lot in it. I think that finger pointing down was saying, yeah, and then the tyre gave away. What about 555? Yokomizo, only 8th position, 0.8 of a second back. In the end, it was a lot tighter than it suggested pre-red flag. But I think Yokomizo will be disappointed with that. Work to do for 555. They want to get their championship kicking off. The run-up Nissan into pits. And that will be Tanaka getting out of that car, I think. That's Sushi. And the 97 Toyota K-Tunes of Betty Chen makes her way back to pit lane as the slowest lap time. Silver AM pole. Goes to Sunrise Boulevard for the silver AM pole position. The AM pole position in GT4 to K-Tunes Racing because the other car ground to a halt. And GT3 AM Ogiyami on the pole in the 81. The Pro AM pole to Bingo Racing. And then in GTC, AWD getting the pole position in AM, and actually the fastest GTC car with Jake Parsons 3.9 seconds back, but ahead of Hiro and Tiger Wu. That's how we line up then. It's Ferrari, Mercedes, Lexus, Porsche, Ferrari. And unfortunately, though, we've got 4 Nissans, they're at the tail of our GT3 character. Right, let's go down to Emily.
さあレースQ2ですね。見事ポルポジション獲得しましたのが笹原右京選手です。すごい引き続き素晴らしい走りでした。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。途中赤旗が出てしまって、タイヤのパフォーマンスとしてはちょっと落ちた状態でアタックするしかなかったんで、結構難しい状況になってしまったなと思ったんですけど、まあでもなんとか、とりあえずトップ取れたのと、まあ個人的にはアジアも含めて、総合一番のやっぱタイムを出したかったんで、まあ赤旗がなければみたいなたらればありますけど、まあひとまずこうやってポールをちゃんと結果で届けることができてよかったです。
さすがの志に今ちょっと震えたんですけれども、笹原選手英語も堪能ということで、ぜひ英語の視聴者の方に向けて英語で今の行いをちょっと振り返っていただいてもよろしいですか。So actually he's a fluent English speaker, so I like to interview him in English too. Ukyo, a wonderful performance. How was your lap?
Yeah, it was amazing. Red flag a little bit prevent us the overall actual potential performance. So we should be, I think, somewhere 37.9 or something. That's the ideal lap. But fortunately, the red flag and tire performance a bit dropped. So it was a difficult, tricky session. But happy to be back in the P1 and even smaller margin. But result is a matter. So yeah, I'm happy for the teams.
I can see your happiness in your smiles. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. The Japan Cup grid is set for their first race of the day, which happens today. And then we'll have Japan Cup Race 2 tomorrow. Make sure you join us from Fuji. Lots of racing action for you here over the whole afternoon.